Hello and welcome back to the David67 Celtic News YouTube channel. Today's video are going to be a review of the Celtic season, look at some of the stats, and also my personal ratings for all the players over the course of the season. Before we do crack on, just a wee suggestion, encouragement, if you're not yet subscribed to the channel, please do click that subscriber button, completely free, and would cheer me up no end in this spell between last season and next season, where it's lots of speculation regarding players coming and going and no games to watch. Also, do feel free to pop your own thoughts, comments, opinions into the comment section, keeping things pleasant and polite regarding your own season ratings, etc. So, starting with a few of the stats, Celtic played a total of 57 competitive games last season. The player who played the most for Celtic was Rio Hatate with 55. He just missed the St Mirren match and then the cup final and was on the pitch for all the other games. Close behind was Callum McGregor on 54, Adam Ida on 53, Arne Engels on 52, Nicholas Kuhn 51, Dyson Maida also 51, and both Alsa Johnson, Casper Schmeichel on 49, and slightly surprisingly, Paulo Bernardo on 44, and also Cameron Carter-Vickers on 44, suggesting he did miss quite a number of games through injury and fitness issues over the season. Looking at our goal scorers, top goal scorer, of course, was Dyson Maida with 33, Nicholas Kuhn next on 21, Adam Ida on 20, and then our ex-striker Kyogo on 12, and then a series of goals by our midfielders, Rio Hatate 11, Callum McGregor and Arne Engels on 10, Luke McCowan on 7, and then Yang and Jota are wide players on 6 and 5. Slightly interestingly, I think, in terms of just a bit of context regarding Adam Ida, he scored one goal every 118.6 minutes, comparing to Kyogo this season, who was one goal every 168.8. Dyson Maida, a goal every 123.7. Kuhn, one goal every 156.5 minutes. And I think that is quite interesting. Does suggest that Adam Ida is actually doing really pretty well. And a goal every 118 minutes puts him ahead of other players such as Mo Salah, David Strelic, around the same level as Matthias Kvistgaarden, and only more elite players such as Harry Kane, Kylian Mbappe really beat Adam Ida's goal of one goal every 1 1/3 games. Last season, he scored one goal every 90 minutes, so in essence, one goal for every game of football, in essence. Moving on to the assists, top assists was Nicholas Kuhn on 15, closely followed by Arne Engels on 13. Alsa Johnson also on 13, which is quite impressive for a fullback. Dyson Maida on 12, Rio Hatate on 9, alongside Luke McCowan. So again, Luke McCowan, impressive again, scored 7 goals and 9 assists, despite the fact that he primarily came on as a late substitute. Now, looking at the actual player rating, I've given 2 players C's and 2 players C+. I've given C's to Luis Palma and to Johnny Kenny, and C pluses to Liam Scales and Paulo Bernardo. For the number of games Paulo Bernardo played at 44, 3 goals and 4 assists, not a terribly good output. Liam Scales, 39 games with 3 goals and 4 assists, but he was guilty of quite a number of defensive errors, and Celtic always looked a lot more threatened and weak down the left side with him and Greg Taylor in particular winning combination. Johnny Kenny had slightly promising end to the season, had a few games late on after the injury to Jota, opened up a space for him off the bench, scoring 1 goal, 1 assist. Luis Palma was kind of in and out the team, then went out off on loan for the second half of the season One interesting stat regarding Luis Palma is he actually has a very high chance creation rate per game, just because his teammates such as Kyogo, Ida, um, Yang, Maeda weren't putting away those chances he was creating. His assist record is low. Moving on to the B minuses, given B minuses to Yang, James Forrest, and Anthony Ralston. Um, Yang, 34 games, 6 assists, 6 goals. James Forrest, 33 games, 1 goal, 7 assists. Anthony Ralston, 23 games, 2 goals, 4 assists. Yang and Forrest primarily coming off the bench, didn't have terribly many starts, and both of them had injury problems throughout the season, particularly James Forrest. Anthony Ralston, I think, is very impressive. Good team player, sits on the bench, available for selection, comes on, does a good job, doesn't create a fuss, doesn't push to get Alistair Johnston demoted, and comes in, does his job. And I think for him coming on, particularly late in games, 2 goals, 4 assists, a good output. Yang and Forrest, I think more goals, more assists would have bumped them up through the ratings. In terms of Bs, I've given Bs for Luke McCowan, Austin Trusty, Kyogo, Jota, and Jeffrey Schlupp. Luke McCowan, I think, actually quite impressive, virtually always coming on as a sub. 41 games, 7 goals, 9 assists, pretty impressive stats. Just when he was a starter, his performances were never quite as good as he is coming off the bench. However, he's proven to be a very useful player, and I think maybe next season we might see him coming more into his own. Austin Trusty, 1 goal, 1 assist. I think he actually is a better defender, more pace, more recovery pace, better in the air than Liam Scales. I think in essence he's probably should be our number 3 centre-back, with a better centre-back as CCV's normal partner. However, I suspect next season, unless we buy another centre-back, we're probably going to see a mixture of Carter Vickers alongside Liam Scales or alongside Austin Trusty. And I do think Trusty may be the better long-term option, simply because I think he and Carter Vickers dovetail much better as a partnership, and I think also have the benefit of some time playing together for the American national team. Jota, 16 games, 5 goals, 2 assists. I think he actually came through not too bad in the end. I think he was struggling for match fitness and match sharpness. And I think just as he was starting to get into his flow, unfortunately, he got himself injured. Hopefully he comes back fully fit and fresh for 2026, as I doubt we'll see him playing again in 2025 as he recovers from his cruciate knee ligament. Moving on to the B pluses, I've given B pluses for Rio Hitati, Adam Ida, Greg Taylor, Arnie Engels, Alex Valley, and Viljami Sinisalo. I thought Sinisalo did a good job. He had 4 clean sheets and conceded 4 goals over his 8 games deputising for Kasper Schmeichel. Alex Valley, 5 assists in his 19 games at left back. And I do actually think, had we kept hold of him for the second half of the season, I suspect he probably would have made himself the number 1 left back, demoting Greg Taylor further and further down. However, he went off to Como, and it looks like he's going to be signing for Como permanently. Greg Taylor, pretty decent game for season, 43 games, 1 goal, 8 assists. His defensive ability is rather poor, but he certainly is very good at moving into midfield, very good in that inverted fullback role, but I do see him likely leaving Celtic, as he's had plenty of chances to sign a new contract and turn those down repeatedly. Arnie Engels, 52 games, 10 goals, 13 assists. I think it's a pretty decent start for him. I think his season slightly went off as the season went on, possibly due to fatigue, possibly due to Rodgers changing the way he was supposed to be playing in the team. I think he was especially good in the Champions League games. And 10 goals is a good output for a midfielder, and second top in assists at 13. Rio Tati, almost ever present throughout the season. And I think we really saw in the cup final how much we missed him. For him, 11 goals and 9 assists, a pretty decent output. I think next season, if he stays with us, as would be expected now, a few more goals and a few more assists, and taking some of the pressure off Callum McGregor would be ideal. Ademida, 53 games, 20 goals, 1 assist. And as I said, his output of 1 goal every 118 minutes is actually more than decent. And I think his difficulty was he never quite got a good run of games as the first choice starter. He tended to be the backup for Kyogo in the first half of the season and back up to Dyson Maida in the second half of the season. And for many of his games, he was coming on for 20, 30 minutes at the end of the match. And so never quite got into his flow. And so I think 20 goals for the season is a more than decent output for him. The A minuses have gone for Carter Vickers and Nicholas Kuhn. Carter Vickers, 44 games, 2 goals, 1 assist. And very clearly, when Carter Vickers is fit and fresh and in form, Celtic's defence is an awful lot better. I suspect that Carter Vickers will be staying at Celtic for another season or two. He is one of the highest paid players at Celtic. He did sign a 5-year contract just recently, and so I see him staying at Celtic for the longer term. And I think Celtic do need to upgrade and get a better second centre back to go with him. Whether it's in the transfer market or whether it's moving Kieran Tierney across. We'll see what happens over the summer. Nicholas Kuhn, 51 games, 21 goals, 15 assists. Second top for goals, top for assists. So that really is very good output, and definitely he would have been an A or an A plus had it not been for the fact that in the second half of the season his form was very inconsistent. A lot of his stats really dropped off quite considerably over the course of January onwards. And after the Bayern Munich match, his form was in and out, in and out. And I think he did also struggle a wee bit with injury and fatigue over the season. Moving on to the A-rated players, Alistair Johnson, Callum McGregor and Kasper Schmeichel. Alistair Johnson, 49 games, 4 goals, 13 assists. I think 4 goals, 13 assists is excellent for a fullback who isn't taking penalty kicks. And he was right up near the top of our assists list. And Johnson, I think, is a very good leader on the pitch, organises things well, good defender, good in the air for a man of his height, and does push forward well into midfield and into the final third. And I think also we saw, because Johnson wasn't quite fully on his attacking best play against Aberdeen at the weekend, I think that also was part of the reason why our threat down the right-hand side wasn't quite as good as it usually is. Callum McGregor, I think he had a good season throughout the season. He played 54 games, 10 goals, 3 assists. Really would want those assist levels to be up more towards the 10 or above. 10 goals, very good output for Callum McGregor, and he did come up with lots of good, high-quality goals, particularly from the edge of the box and just around that level. Did struggle a bit for injury and fitness and form at various different points in the season, and I think when he wasn't at his fully fit form, fresh stage, Celtic's organisation and performance wasn't as good. I just wish that McGregor was a bit more vocal, did a bit more organising, a bit more of getting the players back on message and back to the game plan. And did think he was rather quiet in terms of his leadership at the weekend against Aberdeen. And the last of the A-rated players, Kasper Schmeichel, 49 games, conceded 47 goals, 24 clean sheets, so pretty much a clean sheet every 2 games. And he made plenty saves throughout the season, particularly in Europe, that saved us points or got us wins. And rarely made any mistakes, and it is rather unfortunate that probably his biggest mistake was in the cup final, where he managed to deflect what was a relatively non-threatening cross from Morris on the Aberdeen right wing He managed to deflect that into his own net. I'm sure if we gave that to Kasper Schmeichel another 20 times, every other time he would collect the ball or deflect the ball properly away from the attackers. And the one player I've given an A plus to, not too surprisingly, Dyson Maida. He was your player of the season in the polls. He got over 80% vote from the David 67 channel viewers for player of the season. He won pretty much every player of the season award going for him. Over the course of the season, Dyson Maida, 51 games, a very, very impressive 33 goals, 12 assists. Probably given the amount of ball that Dyson Maida gets, probably a few more assists would have been ideal, but we shouldn't really grumble. But it was quite interesting that his form and output slightly went down after he went home for a few days for the birth of his third child. And having come back from that flight to and from Japan, it did look like his form and focus, etc., dipped. Does look like Celtic are trying to increase and extend Dyson Maida's contract over the summer. Initial indications are that he's quite open to signing a new contract for Celtic, taking him into the top 2 or 3 earners at the club, and hopefully Celtic resist the transfer speculation and offers for Dyson Maida that I'm sure will be cropping up over the summer. So you may have your own thoughts about player ratings. You may think I was maybe being a wee bit harsh on Paolo Bernardo and Liam Scales. You may think I've been a wee bit generous from some other players. However, just my own personal ratings for the players, I think we can all agree that players like Dyson Maida, Carter Vickers, Kuhn, McGregor, Johnston, Schmeichel have all been star players. A few of the players have been a wee bit less consistent, but overall, 2 trophies out of the 3 and progress into the first knockout stage of the Champions League have all been a good season overall for Celtic. And adding yet another double to the Celtic trophy cabinet is a big achievement for the season. It would have been so nice to have made that treble number 9, but a double for me is still a good end to the season. Looking at the Celtic news stories this morning, no great movements on any players in and out. There is a suggestion that Brøndby would be happy to accept now a £10 million bid for Matthias Kvistgaarden. However, it's thought the more likely place for him ending up is Eintracht Frankfurt, who were third in the German Bundesliga and so into the Champions League. And it has been said in the past that Matthias Kvistgaarden was keen to go to either England or Germany as a preference. And so I think we are unlikely to get to Kvistgaarden as a player for us over the summer. Some speculation that Greg Taylor has had a number of offers now that he is a free agent. His contract fully ends in a few days' time. And I suspect that he probably will be off to another team. And currently, PAOK in Greece appear to be one of the leaders in trying to sign Taylor on a free agent contract. Some speculation that Celtic are keen to sign Lennon Miller from Motherwell, although no progress has been made with that. Some suggestions that Celtic may be in line for a few other players. One signing that has apparently definitely been made is Ross Doohan, the ex-Celtic goalkeeper, came up through the academy, went off to play for a few clubs in England, had a brief spell at Aberdeen. He's now a free agent and apparently has signed on a pre-contract for Celtic. And he, of course, will fulfil one of those spots as a homegrown Celtic-trained player for the UEFA quotas. And as a result, Scott Bain has been released to go and find first-team football elsewhere. Over the course of the next few weeks, I'm sure there'll be more and more transfer stories developing, and we'll find more clearly what's going to happen with players coming back from loans such as Tillio, Lewis Palmer, Lagabielka, Welsh and Kwon. We'll also find out whether Celtic are looking to sign Jeffrey Schlupp on any form of contract. He appears to have taken a few weeks of a holiday, and then he's going to look at what offers he's getting after that. And of course, Greg Taylor remains our one first-team player who is out of contract and soon to be a complete free agent in a few days' time. So hopefully you enjoyed that wee run through of the season, the stats, my own player ratings. Do feel free to pop your own thoughts, comments into the comment section if you feel I've been too generous, too strict, etc. And do also pop your thoughts, opinions, etc. into the comment section if you have any other issues you want to start a nice wee discussion on. And as always, do feel free to click that like button, pass on the details to other friends, families, Celtic supporters, football supporters. If you are new to the channel, please do click that subscribe button. And so until the next video, goodbye and hail, hail.